And I can be pretty brief, partly because the first half of what I want to say is pretty much exactly what the ambassador said about moving on. So thanking both IN2030 and in particular Klaus for his, as ever, tremendously insightful analysis. Trying to put this in context, we, of course, by we, I mean everyone, both the UK and the EU, are taking the first inevitably faltering steps on a new journey in a post-Brexit environment. And the first piece of mental change that we have to make is to look forward and not back. And you know, we may regret things that have happened, but they've happened. We're not going to change them now. It's perhaps inevitable that there will be friction in some areas that still need to be negotiated properly, but that has to go as soon as possible. Indeed, I mean, literally as we speak here, Commissioner Šefčovič and Lord Frost are meeting with tonight with one of the most difficult areas in Northern Ireland. I very much hope that goes well, and I hope the fact that those talks are going on are a symbol that it is possible for these two, one country, one institution, to work together much more cooperatively than many people feared, and I think hoped they would do in the post environment. Others have mentioned various of the areas. Clearly, we have a huge commonality of interest dealing with China, for example, and it does seem to me they're about China. I'm personally quite hawkish on China. I think it's not just clearly a successful country economically, but a hawkish country diplomatically. And one of the things that will always unite us in the continent of Europe, whether members of the EU or not, in the post-Cold War era, is a commitment to democracy. And we need to remember that we're all democracies, therefore we should be working together. And indeed, that both the UK and the EU can be pillars of a worldwide democratic movement. You know, there are clearly many democracies now in Asia, and we want to encourage democracy in South America and so on. And we should not forget that shared value as the basis of a way in which we can not only work together productively, but actually be a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. So I think promoting democratic values is something that we absolutely need to do. And the second one, which others, including the ambassador, have already mentioned, is the environment. Clearly, a global issue. All big players around the world will need to play a significant role if we are to hit the climate goals that the world has set itself. And again, I think the EU and the UK should be working together instinctively and habitually on that issue. As has been said, that the TCA did not lead to any new architecture that needs to be there, I think, in the long term. But I think it will arise, perhaps, oddly enough, as the EU did over the decades, in response to individual circumstances. And it's something that possibly nobody on this call can predict at the moment will happen at some stage in this decade, which will involve people looking at each other and saying, we should have a permanent institution in which the UK and the EU can sit down together and work on this problem. And I think, to end on a hopeful note, I think it is likely that kind of, phrase I've used, instinctive and habitual cooperation will grow over time as long as we get over these first few difficult months. And that will be wholly for the good of people across the continent of Europe and in the UK. And the fact that this network, the Ideas Network 2030, exists, I hope is a small acorn from which mighty oaks will grow of cooperation in ideas and in policy making and in discussions across the continent of Europe. So thank you all for coming this evening.